Alright guys, Draven here, back again with another video. So I thought since this is October that I might as well review some type of horror movie. I'm a pretty big buff when it comes to the genre itself, so I thought why not? I was kinda thinking of going back to reviewing some classics. Most modern day horror movies don't do much for me when it comes to having some type of creepy atmosphere, having too many cliches or ones I could see myself rewatching years down the line. And there's only been a few that's done it for me recently with the likes of You're Next, The Green Inferno, A Quiet Place, Hostel Part 3, Strangers 2, Us, Clown, and maybe a few decent ones like Insidious and The Conjuring. But I did want to check out this one since Eli Roth was going to be one of the producers of that. And I'm a pretty big when it comes to Eli Roth films, so I gave this movie a shot. I mean, it's got this killer clown face on the cover, and I do love me some good killer clown movies, with the exception of It, because I was never a fan of that one. But yeah, so today's movie that we are going to review is Haunt, which was released last year. There have been a lot of horrors set in Halloween haunts as of late, from the House's October Built to Hellfest to Extremity, so this flick needed to impress coming in with a concept that is already becoming familiar. And not only does it do that, it might be one of the best modern horror movies I've seen from last year. So the flick is directed intensely by the A Quiet Place written duo of Scott Beck and Brian Woods, who also scripted here. So the story finds Harper trying to part with an abusive boyfriend Sam, and helping out the party of Halloween night with friends Bailey, Angela, Evan, and decided to leave with them to find Halloween Haunt, dragging a reluctant Harper along. They stumbled upon one such haunt in the middle of nowhere and soon find they may have picked up the wrong haunt to haunt. The group's journey to the haunt by being out among friends with their struggles before deciding to leave for the haunt attraction has a realistic bent to it and comes to their arrival in a fun manner, just stumbling upon it by chance as a side-of-the-road attraction that feels quite realistic and appropriate. That leads into the general air of attraction, which feels very much like a genuine local attraction, filled with cheesy Halloween decorations. Skeletons are spewed all over the dark lights, hiding mask costumes. The maze-like structure and rooms filled with tasks needed to perform to move on gives this a fantastic setup and a creepy atmosphere. That this gets carried out without them truly knowing if they're out to hurt them, but believing they aren't does add some tension to the scenes as well, and making this more suspenseful than it should be. The other big factor here is the strong second half that features plenty of fun with their being stalked and hunted. Once it's obvious that the hunt was not going right and they're in danger, there's some pretty good stalking through the various rooms and corridors in the building, even including the big draws against them once there is enough weaponry on hand to fight back, generating some fine brutality gore on both sides. These are exponentially fast-paced and fun-making for quite a lot like overall. The film does have some minor flaws. The biggest detriment here is the inability to make sense of how the attraction should work. There's no instructions or directions here as to how they're supposed to operate the event before they turn psychotic, and started going after the group, as well as the entire subplot about the abused childhood didn't need to be here, merely pointing out to a coda that's meaningless and serves no purpose based on what's written here that's barely worth mentioning. Plus, I didn't find none of the protagonists to be likable, and very few I didn't care for. And oddly enough, the most likable one dies first. There was this one fat dude who I remember playing that one fat goofball from that one movie called College starring Drake Bell, and his character in this movie was so annoying, and I couldn't wait for his character to just be killed off already. Yeah, and pretty much all the characters have made one bad decision after the other, until the one who is protected by the plot armor makes it to the end. She experienced some past horror and is now paranoid by this situation. Their moronic and or terrified looks at mundane things turns out to be right. That's one of those tropes I wish could just go away. I'm expected to believe that she either acts this way at all times or has some type of magical ability to detect danger. Those were my only flaws. Like, my girlfriend and I have seen dozens of horror movies together, and when we start throwing out guesses as to what will happen next, 90% of them end up being wrong. You know, it's a damn good movie. You know, pretty much very few jump scares and cliches, moderate gore, multiple twists that make you feel safe before making a U-turn back into action, and a lot of suspense. The other good I can say about this movie is the sound and lighting are pretty good. The effects, while not a lot of them are done well and practical, the blood effects were almost really good. And I have to say, whoever directed this did a pretty good job at setting up most of the shots. Especially the neighborhood scenes and camera work in general is excellent. They also do a pretty good job using ideas from past horror movies to add some twist to the story, so you will quickly see coming of others not so much. But overall, Hunt is a pretty chilling and intense horror that overcomes the familiarity of recent horror trend by simply being really good at what it does. It's intense, scary, and has some violence and gore, which I would have expected more considering this was produced by Eli Roth, but it made up for it for a creepy atmosphere. And even though the characters, especially the lead girl, who have made some stupid decisions as always, like during the movie, me and Felicia would sometimes think, but it's so obvious to do that. No one in real life would do that. But it was creepy and I did like it. Especially the ending. Finally, an ending that gives you some relief. So I do recommend this if you're into slasher. I'd give it a watch if you're a fan of A Quiet Place or Eli Roth movies. But anyways, fuckers, I'm out of here. Later.